Alrighty, Roo. Here comes the second phase of our tray project. So if we go into our tray, you'll notice that we have our big piece, 1 inch big piece, and then on the opposite side, same thing with the tray handles coming on top. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be, first and foremost, you need to start a new, and you're going to choose standard.iam, standard.iam. So we're going to create, okay? And again, if you don't have this model browser, please click it and make sure to show it, all right? And then we're going to place. And my suggestion is you're going to start off with the middle piece, which in this particular case is the big piece, okay? So once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit open. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to click once, okay? So what that's going to do is after I left click to place, I'm going to right click and hit OK. That's the only piece I want out. You'll notice my orientation cube has the front going this way, so if I want to see it square, I can go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do for our middle piece is simply just to ground it. And this is the only piece you ground. It is not anything else. You need to ground just the middle piece, and that's it. So I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to choose grounded. Okay, you'll notice that there's a little push pin icon there, and whenever I mouse over, and that's a good thing. So no matter what I try to do, okay, if I try to click and drag this thing, it's never going to move, which is good. We don't want this thing to go crazy, all right? So with that being said, looking at our tray assembled, we're going to go ahead and do the first two, or we could do the top or the bottom. It does not matter, but we're going to do the first two pieces, and then we'll go ahead and just kind of speed up as we go along. All right, so the next piece is I'm going to go ahead and hit place, and I'm going to choose 1-inch piece. Okay, I'm going to click right there, right click, done. All right, and now we're going to constrain. Now, a lot of times the constraints is going to be what we call mate flush flush, all right? And 98% of what you're going to do is mate flush flush. Does that mean that there's never going to be something different? Absolutely not. There's all types of crazy assemblies. You can pretty much create anything on this program, so we're going to keep it simple for now, all right? So under constrain, you'll see that it's got all types of options. We're going to keep it as the mate, and then the solution, we have a mate and a flush. Okay, so we're going to choose, it's asking for selections 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the top of this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the top of this piece. Okay, now, when I do that, I'm going to hold down my F4 key. You'll notice that I can click and drag my mouse over here. Hugely important, because you're going to need to get to some certain areas without having to go over to the side and engage your orbit tool or not. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, if it goes something like this and you're seeing your piece inside, what it's done is literally just said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and flush these for you. No, you don't want these flushed. You want them mated. Okay, there's a rhyme and a reason for everything. So I'm going to mate. Notice how it's outside, and it actually shows you the two blue surfaces. Okay, all right. So once that's done, you'll hit apply. And before I move any further, you're going to see if I go ahead and I click the little plus signs next to these pieces, the mate is listed there, and it actually glows when I mouse over, which is great because if something goes wrong, we know where to find it. Okay, so take your time when you do this. All right, now when we do this, you'll notice if I go to the right side and I try to click and drag this up and down, it does not. And the reason for that is those two surfaces are basically magic glued together. No matter where it is, it's going to be on the same plane. All right, and that's what we need. All right, so I'm going to hold down F4 and rotate my piece a little bit. The next piece is, or the next phase is supposed to be a flush. Like I said, mate flush flush. So I'm going to go ahead and hit flush. Click the face and hit apply. You'll notice that the flush is now listed. Now, with that being said, as I said, it's got to be 3 constraints to do. So the last piece is, we're going to go ahead and constrain flush, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I want this end and this end to align. I'm going to hit apply. So for each new piece that you bring in, it needs to have 3 constraints. If for some odd reason you go after you think you're done and you click your piece that you just attached and it moves, you're missing something. You did something wrong. So make sure that you get this little no symbol when I'm clicking and trying to move this piece. Okay, that's a good thing. All right. So again, we're going to do the same process over and over and over again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit place. I'm going to choose a big piece to end up, or do the top here, finish that off, right click, okay. Okay, I'm going to constrain, I'm going to mate again, this surface and that surface. Apply. Flush this face, and you can choose whatever face, doesn't matter. Apply. You'll now notice that my second piece has got a lot more, but my piece that I'm starting only has 2. Okay, and then last but not least, the ends. Okay, the ends is there. All right, now don't forget we talked about this, and I'll just remind you, this is the face, this is the biggest piece, or the biggest surface of each piece. This is the edge, and then this is the end. So if you hear me saying that, you should know what it is. All right, so here's my top. Okay, we're halfway there. Now I'm going to speed up a little bit just to get going here. Okay, right click, okay. I'm going to hit F4, zoom around. We're going to constrain, mate, surface, surface, double check. Yep, that looks good. Apply that. Flush these 2 surfaces, apply. And I'll bring this down, you'll see the 2. And then last but not least, we're going to do the ends. Perfect. Apply. Okay. And then last one we have is to place this big piece again before we do the handle supports. Right click, okay. And we're going to do the same thing. Mate. Make sure it mates. Okay, good to go. Apply that. Flush the faces. Apply. Flush the ends. Apply. Okay. Now, you should see the resemblance between that and the back of your image here. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the handle supports. So the handle supports, we're going to go ahead and click right here. Okay, and it's still the same, but instead of doing, we're going to, flush the faces and flush the ends, we're actually going to do a little bit different. It's still the same process, it's just a different surface. That's all it is, okay? So, constrain mate. I want this face, and you can choose any of these pieces, but I'm just going to do the middle for what it is, okay? Make sure that it's mated and not flushed, because you can see that it's outside, but if I flushed it, it goes inside. Okay, you see the difference? We want to mate that. Make sure those surfaces are not inside, all right? So here's where the students really always kind of get to me, or ask me the question, Mr. Chardy, it's supposed to be sideways, or it's in the same deal. How do I rotate it? You don't need to rotate it, okay? I can put this on the left side. I can put it on the right side, all right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put it on the right side just to show you. All right, so I've mated. Now I need to flush, okay? But instead of flushing end to end, I'm going to flush end to edge. So here's the end of my middle piece, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to get the edge of that piece. You'll now notice that those two are aligned, all right? I'm going to apply that, and that's super helpful, all right? And I'm going to do the same thing because this can still move. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to constrain, flush this edge to this end. Boom. Okay. And now when I go ahead and I try to move this, because ever since I locked down the middle piece and I kept adding on and adding on, you can see all these mates and flushes. Okay. It's there now. We should be all good. All right. Last but not least, same thing, other side. Place the handle support. Gonna hit OK. We're gonna constrain mate this surface to this surface. Make sure it's mated. Okay, good. Apply that. Zoom in. We're gonna now flush this end to that edge. It's gonna rotate on its own. Awesome sauce. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this. I'll zoom out so it rotates a little easier. Okay, zoom in, And I want to flush this edge to this end. Boom. Okay. And there you have it. We have a completed tray, all within about 10 minutes of start. So you should be able to walk through this again. Mate first, then flush, then flush. Okay, so if you can do that, you should be successful. All right. Hopefully you learned a lot about this tutorial. It helps you out with the assembly. We are moving on to the next phase, and I'll see you in the next video.